Hi, Matt.
Hi, Claire.
I'm Claire. You're Matt. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Haven't been talking to you much lately at all, so it's good to connect.
Not at all.
Face to face.
Not almost every day.
Thank you so much for being here and for doing this interview with me. I just kind of want to read your bio at the top here just so that folks know some of the work you do if they aren't already familiar with you. So Matt McWilliams has spent the past decade plus in online marketing, running affiliate programs and consulting for startups and brands such as Shutterfly, Reebok, and most recently for awesome entrepreneurs like Lewis Howes, Ray Edwards, Brian Tracy, and Jeff Goins. Matt's goal is simple: to teach you how to make money promoting other people's products and leveraging affiliates to make more money from your products. And yeah, so we were first introduced, I guess, a couple of years ago through this very work you do. I think you were at the time maybe working on a launch with, I don't even remember who it was with. And
Jeff Goins. I actually remember, yeah.
Okay.
And I remember because you were the famous at Claire. And I had followed you for a while before that. And I remember how I found you was through Eric Fisher, believe it or not. And he tweeted this at Claire person, like, this has to be an important person because her username is at Claire.
The wrong place at the wrong time, right?
That was how it started. That was how it started, was just like so many things. Wow. It started from seeing a random tweet one day.
Eric Fisher, man, that guy has connected me to a lot of folks. That's interesting.
Yeah, he lives like 45 minutes from me, believe it or not, which is strange because I think we're the only two online entrepreneurs in northern Indiana.
Right. He's in Fort Wayne and you're in, where are you?
I'm in Fort Wayne. He's in Marion.
Can't even remember. I see. Okay. So kind of talk to me about sort of your story. What got you here to this room with the white wall behind you and, working from home and dealing with broken water heaters while you manage these 7-figure launches for folks. Talk to me how
It's funny that you would say that because, like we were talking about earlier, my day today is wake up and wonder why we have no hot water. Try to fix it, which basically consists of me holding the iPad in one hand and spending at least 15 minutes in the basement so that my wife thinks I'm actually like that man who at least attempted to do stuff. And I'm looking at pictures going, nope, can't do that. Nope, can't do that. That would blow the house up. And then shortly after that, we get a call about the medical bill. And so it's like 11:30 before I even start working today. And, so some days work is not by design. Some days work is putting out fires for 3 hours first thing in the morning. To me, that's a great thing about entrepreneurship. We were joking the other day in one of my mastermind meetings that, the great thing about entrepreneurship is you get to choose your own bathroom breaks. And it's very important to somebody like me who likes that freedom and isn't really I've never been really, really good at being told what to do. And so, a lot of it really, I think the one story we were just talking beforehand that kind of sums up the Matt doesn't like to be told what to do is I'm one of the few people on the face of the earth who's ever been fired 4 times, twice by the same company and once by my own father. And I refer to myself as utterly unemployable. And I wear that as a badge of honor. Like, I finally realized, like, I kept fighting it. Matt, why are you not an entrepreneur? Like, why are you not doing this entrepreneur thing when you know that that's what you're supposed to be doing? And I fought that for years because I thought I was supposed to go down that career path. And it's hard to like leave a 6-figure job and then go do something that I had no guarantee of any money whatsoever. It's really hard. And so every time, though, I had somebody kind of push me out, like they forced me. And it was like someone was trying to tell me, okay, I'm going to get you out of this position. Go do this entrepreneur thing. I'll go find another job. Hey, I got a great job. And they fire me. And it's like, well, go do this entrepreneur thing. No, I'll go get another job. And I was here. I was 22 years old. This was the second of the 4 firings. And I was teaching golf. I grew up playing golf. I played professionally for a couple years after college, and I had an injury. I've still got the misaligned bones in my left wrist that if I were to play golf now would flare up and cause me problems all the way down to my right rib.
Wow.
That's how bad it was. And so I quit playing, but I started teaching, and I found out that I hated teaching golf. I was in a job that all the stuff like a guidance counselor would have told me to do this at that time, because here I was a well-known golfer, at least in my, my area. I had all the experience in the world playing high-level golf. Why should I not be a golf teacher? Well, the problem was I never had a desire to do that. I always wanted to play golf. I wanted to play professional golf. And my best friend and I growing up would joke, like, one of us said to the other, like, Matt, if I ever reach the point in life where I'm teaching old ladies, if I'm teaching old ladies in purple sweaters how to play golf, please kill me.
That's the moment.
We knew that would never happen. Well, fast forward, I'm 22, and I'm teaching these golf schools, and I'm trying to get more customers in. I'm only 22 years old, but I'm making pretty good money. But I'm like, man, if I can get more students in, I could be rolling in it, quite frankly. And that's what I cared about, because I wanted all the trappings of success back then, and I started doing AdWords, Google AdWords. And to put this into perspective, in 2010. 2002.
Okay.
I just said 2010. I meant 2002.
Okay.
2002, I could get a click for good keywords for 10 cents a click.
Amazing.
There was no opt-in. There was no sales funnel. You came to my webpage that was terrible, probably had an animated GIF image on it, and you either paid me $1,500 or you left for good.
Wow.
That was it. Like, this is 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, 1 out of every 200 people would pay me $1,500. I had a 0.5% conversion. It cost me $20 to make a $1,500 sale. I'm selling 6 of these a week or more. I'm 22 years old, and it was this weird dichotomy, because I would get this thing and I'm like, yes, I made a sale. Crap, I got to teach this person how to play golf.
So I want to ask you about this idea of basically mentorship. I think for you, I'm curious what you think mentorship is, because I know you are such a fan of masterminds and sort of this idea of gaining from peers. So I guess talk to me first about if mentors or being mentored has been a thing in your life.
It hasn't been as much as I would like it to, at least on the business side. It has been, spiritually. I've had a spiritual mentor, guy who was, right where I wanted him to be. He was about 25 years older than me. He'd been, walking in my faith for decades, and married for a bajillion years, and had similar life experiences. For me, having a mentor who doesn't understand my lifestyle is not really helpful. Right. At all.
Yeah.
So my mentors tend to be, entrepreneurs, people who've, been in those same positions. But actually, I'm looking for more of a business mentor. And I was speaking of Mastermind group. I was talking to one of the guys in one of my groups, and I just took him aside one day. I said, "Do you have a mentor?" And he said, "Yeah, it's a guy here locally. He's about 75 years old." And I said, "That's who I need. I don't need an online business mentor. I need somebody who has built a business, a real brick and mortar business." The guy's pretty close to, I think he's worth 9 figures, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen the pictures of his house.
It looks like it's worth 9 figures alone.
He looks like he's worth 9 figures, he's known here locally. And, and he said, "Yeah, I'll be happy to introduce you." And I think that's kind of like who I'm looking for personally, is more of, somebody like that. But yeah, I've had, spiritual mentors. But yeah, you mentioned masterminds. We were literally just talking to my wife yesterday how on the mastermind side, I've got 2 amazing masterminds. I've been a part of 4. And you go through seasons, you move out of one, or you just kind of realize that you've grown stagnant with this group. So
go back to the basics. So talk about how you got into it, what it looks like. Because I think sometimes folks hear the word mastermind, but they don't actually know what it means. And so, sort of start with basics.
I think the term was first coined by Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich, if I'm not mistaken. A mastermind is essentially a group of peers. A group of people who are at a similar point in the life of, and I'll use business just for purposes of this. You are at a similar point in your business. If you end up with too much disparity, it gets really kind of messy. It's like you don't want any person in that group giving more than 10 or 20% more than they're taking. And then otherwise it gets messed up. And I've heard, really bad things about that. And I've been very fortunate to realize when that point was reaching and go, okay, now is the time to move on. And so for me, I knew about masterminds, but I didn't just expect the mastermind fairy to come by and be like, I'll plop you in this mastermind.
I love it.
So I went out and started one. I started one.
Oh, okay.
I reached out to 3 guys Mark was one of them. He was actually in my original mastermind group.
Okay.
I reached out to 3 guys. I said, I'm starting this mastermind. All 3 said yes. We started meeting it. It was 4:45 in the morning, Mark's time. So he'd get up and
that's dedication.
Hadn't even brushed his hair yet. For those of you who know Mark, he's completely bald. So, but I mean, that was even a little early for me because I'm not a morning person. And so we get up and we talk for an hour and we go through this. We didn't really have this format now, but the format that we have now that we use is it's a quick, just catching up, 3-4 minutes of just banter and how's life. Then we have a couple minutes of actual formatted what's your high and what's your low from the week. And then about the 6-7 minute mark, we go into the whoever's on the hot seat that week. And basically they spend about 2 to 3 minutes stating a question or a problem. Mm-hmm. Then we have about 8 minutes for clarifying questions, which is, so you're saying this or whatever. Then they restate the problem. And about half the time, the funny thing is, the problem or question is actually different than what they originally said.
Wow.
Because of those clarifying questions.
Wow.
Like you might say, use an example, you might say, guys, my problem is people just aren't opening my emails. This is an online business problem. My open rate's 21%, and I just know it can be higher. Okay, so blah blah blah. And, you go through all these, and then you come, and then the clarifying questions come along, and then you realize, actually, my problem is I'm not clear on my message. I'm not clear on my avatar. I'm not clear on who I'm speaking to. So, of course, they're not opening it because I'm not speaking to them in their own native language. And so you go through this process. Then at the very end, you have suggestions. We actually do we tell them what they should do and things like that. And then there's at the very end, there's a commitment. So in that example, okay, guys, my commitment is that I'm going to send a survey to my audience. I'm going to find out the demographic and psychographic stuff about them. And then I'm going to create my avatar, and I'm going to start my emails. My avatar personally for our business is a guy named Peter. And I won't tell you all about Peter right now, but when I sit down now, I actually replace, and I have to be very careful because I almost sent an email, Dear Peter, or Hey Peter, to like thousands of people the other day. But I sit down now and I write that every blog post I write, every email I write, Hey Peter. Wow. And I'm thinking of trying to pick, okay, who is Peter? And I've got him pictured, and I've got like what he's literally, like what he wears most days, what kind of house he lives in, how many kids he has, where he's at with his business. And I'm sitting there, I'm saying, Hey Peter, boom, here's what I want to tell you today. And here's how I want to help you. So that said, we go through that whole process with the mastermind. But yeah, I started a mastermind. Here's the funny thing that happened. I mentioned there's no mastermind fairy. 2 weeks. I spent 2.5 years in this particular iteration of my business since I'd first heard about masterminds before I started one, and no mastermind came along. Okay. 2 weeks after I started that mastermind, I got an email. Hey, would you like to be in our mastermind?
Wow.
That's kind of how the world works. So
yeah,
I finally got up butt and took some action and stuff. Like I said, wait for the fairy to come over and go boop. And then suddenly I plopped into this mastermind. So those are both great. And then now I'm actually in 2 completely different ones. I've transitioned out of those. And I'm in 2 just amazing masterminds with guys who we're homogenous enough without being so homogenous it's scary, but we're all very similar parts of our business, going through the same struggles. We're all at that point where we can relate, but we all have different skills. And one of the guys in this other mastermind who said that when he was starting it, he said, here's why I didn't know this. He never told us this, but he has a podcast that he talked about it on. His name's Brian Dixon. Sure. Brian? Yeah. And he said, and he didn't say our names, but he said, I wanted this guy because he's a big book launch guy. He's a guy and he's built this business. He's got a team. He's built an agency. He's got this big team. I wanted this guy because he's good at copywriting, and he's got this very lean business. He's recently left his full-time job. And he said, I wanted this other guy because this guy's like a genius at affiliate stuff. and running these big, JV launches. And then me, I'm good at building courses. Like, that's why I picked the four of us. And I didn't realize it, but I went, oh, wow, we all do bring enough different perspectives. But yet, if you look at our revenue and our team size, they're almost identical.
Wow. And so, okay, so you just said something interesting. So you said, if you look at your revenue and your team size, so how transparent are you with the people in your mastermind?
You got to be 100% transparent.
Wow.
Okay. I mean, you think about it, like my spiritual mentor, for example, going back to the mentor thing, if I walk into that room and he's like, how's it going? I'm like, oh man, life is great. And the reality is that, 2 nights before I got into an argument with my wife, and it's straining our marriage. Like, why did I drive? I mean, I drove half an hour both ways. I drove an hour to spend an hour with this guy. So I'm spending 2 hours of my life. Why am I doing that if I'm going to walk in the door and lie to him? These masterminds take up 2/45 of I work about 45 hours a week, and they take up 2 hours.
Wow.
They're at times right now where they're scheduled where, quite frankly, it prohibits me from, if I want to attend, from doing, I miss a couple of things as a result of these. I have to rush back from the chiropractor every Monday to get to my Monday meeting on time. Why am I doing that if I'm going to lie or if I'm going to hold back something? So we encourage, I mean, it's a written rule in one of my masterminds, like, you are expected to be transparent. And if you're not willing to be, then this just isn't the group for you. And so I'm not suggesting that from day one, you got to just like open up all your baggage and vomit your mastermind. But I think within a couple of months, you better, if you haven't reached that point where you're not comfortable, then you're not in the right mastermind. And if they haven't reached the point, then they're in the wrong mastermind. And maybe you're doing something wrong. Like, maybe it's, I don't know, but maybe, you're like, every time they're vulnerable with you, chew them out or, jump down their throat. I've never been in a situation like that, but if that were to happen, then it's your fault that they're not opening up, and you need to get out. So yeah, you got to be 100% transparent, and like, nobody in our group asks, like, point blank, like, nobody just said, like, what's your revenue last month, but it's one of those things that's expected that you would share that when we're talking in the context. And we do share financial data with each other in our spreadsheets. Like, I know how much everybody in one of my masterminds specifically, I know exactly what their revenue was last month. And I think that's great, because it gives context to where they're at in their business, but it's also an opportunity for us to celebrate. Like, last month, we had our best month ever. So it was like, I want to celebrate with that. I want to celebrate that with you guys.
So a couple logistical questions for folks who are kind of thinking about how masterminds would work. Should a mastermind always happen once a week, or could it happen once a month? And then also, does a mastermind need a host?
I'll answer the second question first. No. We typically, if you were on the hot seat last week, you're the moderator this week. You're the one who, you do need somebody to keep us on track. Otherwise, you'll be 37 minutes into it, and next thing you know, you're telling a story about walking your dog last week.
Right. Okay.
And the time you played pool with Chris Tucker. That actually did happen recently in a mastermind meeting, but not the dog part, but the guy was playing pool with Chris Tucker by accident. It will devolve if you don't have anybody who's responsible for keeping you on track. Okay. And so me, like, if I'm running it, I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, well, we have 8 minutes for clarifying questions. We'll stretch it to 9. Okay. But, hey guys, it's 8 minutes, 1 minute warning. Get in your question, answer it, boom. We got to move on.
Okay, so someone's doing the clock.
Yeah, you got to be pretty, dictatorial if you're the moderator. It's a role that's not necessarily meant for everybody. The other question was, meeting weekly. I've done the monthly. I'll tell you that lasted about 4 months before we just went, this is terrible. Wow. Like, it was 5 months before the 5th person was on the hot seat.
Yeah, right.
Good grief. So we went to every 2 weeks, and then we went to every week. So I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. I will suggest that any community that you are going to build, I think you have to meet once a week, and that's only every 7 days. Yeah. And you know what? If you need to go through seasons with it, take a few weeks off periodically. That's perfectly healthy. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So, trust me, you take a couple weeks off from your mastermind, you will be longing for your mastermind meetings. I long for them every week, period. Take some time off if you need to. Miss one every now and again is totally cool, but I think weekly is the key.
Okay, so then the final kind of question here about this is for folks who are listening to this and are super inspired and are saying, you know, I'm so mad that there is no Mastermind Fairy because I want to be in a mastermind now, but Matt has convinced me that I need to start my own. How do you go about starting one? What's the first step to trying to start your own mastermind?
I'll tell you what I did. I just made a list of names, and I purposely, I didn't realize I did it, but I did it kind of like Brian did. I just, you know, who are some people who are skilled in something that I'm not? And so my first one, you know, Mark Seavercrop is just phenomenal at connecting with people. And Mark is really good at thinking on his feet with just ideas kind of at what I call like a duh level. Yep. You know, where it's like, I'm in my box, I've got my blinders on, and he's like, dude, why don't you do this? And I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, we just went through that the other day, actually. We got like, I can't come up with this video series. He's like, what if you just did this? And I'm like,
wow. And he talks just like that. What if you just do this?
Yeah, he's really good at that. You know, Scott Barlow, who was in that original group, is phenomenal at so many things. But he comes from the HR world, so he's in the, kind of the corporate world. So he's phenomenal at systems and structures and on automation and things like that. And just, you know, he's not the idea minute guy. He's more of the, I'll sit back. Like he wouldn't say anything for 10 minutes. It was almost an annoying thing for somebody like me. He wouldn't say anything for 10 minutes. And I'm kind of like, when I first was getting to know him, I'm like, dude, are you even engaged? And then he would say something. And then it was like, oh yeah, you were paying attention this whole time. So he was like that. And then Mike Kawula, you know, the small business king, is his, small biz king, I think is his nickname. You know, this guy's built, you know, multiple $1 million businesses and things like the cleaning industry and things like that. And so he had this experience, like he's kind of the underground marketing ninja. Mm-hmm. So he had that side of things, and he knows he's an expert at sales funnels, and like he's the guy who could literally, like, with one tip, increase your open rates by 5% on your emails. You know, like he was more of the quick tip type guy.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
You got to do this. You know, oh my gosh, you got to get on Snapchat or whatever. Like here's what you got to do. So we all had like these different weird skills and perspectives, and I made a list, and like I said, Mark was at the top, Scott was next, Mike, and then I was like, well, I got 4. I guess I'm done because I wanted a 4-person mastermind. But yeah, make that list. Here's what I will say. Don't make a 25-person list because you will take freaking forever to come up with 25 people, and you'll never reach out to the first one.
Right.
Maybe create a 5-person list. Here's the thing. I was very fortunate. All 3 said yes because I'd spent a long time developing those relationships. But you're probably going to get a no.
Sure.
Statistically speaking, somebody's going to say no. It's not the right season. They don't understand it. But just find those people who are similar positions in life. You know, if you've got a 200-person email list, you don't want somebody in your mastermind who's at 10,000.
Nope.
And if you're at 2,000, you honestly don't want somebody who's, you don't want to reach out to somebody who's like got 12 people on their email list. It's not going to be a good fit. Find people who are in similar positions. If you're in online forums, the second mastermind that I got in, they reached out to me. We were all in Michael Hyatt's Platform University, and he reached out to me, and all of us were in there. So if you're in a forum or a membership, just reach out to people that you interact with. Like, who have you? Just go to Twitter if you're on Twitter or Facebook, and like, who are the 5 people that you interact with the most? And say, hey, most people are going to be flattered. Most people are not going to be like, no, I don't have the time for that. They're actually going to be flattered that you thought of them.
I love it. These are awesome tips. And I think just creating a mastermind for yourself, if the Mastermind Fairy does not bump you on the head with her wand, is just a fantastic idea. So, Matt, can you tell folks kind of what you're really focused on right now and where people can come find you?
Yeah. I mean, right now we're focused on, we're in the season of mastery. Well, actually, we're actually in the season of systems. When we really got things going last year, I didn't want to get too systematized. I didn't want to go into like massive, growth right away. I said, here's our 3 seasons that we're going to go through over the next, year to 18 months. We're going to go through mastery, which mastery is basically we're going to do a bunch of things and we're going to see what works. I think we may be the best in the world at what we do at that time, but you know what? We can probably change a lot of things. We can probably discover some stuff. So it's like we're going to try some stuff, and some stuff's not going to work. As Seth Godin says, this might not work, but we're going to do it anyway. And we're super fortunate to work with clients where I've gone to them and said, hey, here's an idea. And they've gone, that's a really good idea. And I've said, yeah, but it might break something, right? And yeah, it might. Do it anyway. Okay, cool. And so we tried a bunch of stuff. Some stuff didn't work. A lot of it did. We went through this season of mastery. Then we went through this season of growth, which was just, essentially we went into kind of rapid growth mode. And now we're in this season of we're past rapid growth mode. And it's like, okay, let's systematize stuff. And what we mean by that is like, okay, here's when we're doing stuff. And we're pretty consistently doing that. Here's how we're doing it. A year ago, we didn't have a playbook. The playbook was all up here. Sometimes it wasn't even up here. Sometimes it was just like, I'm in the shower and I think of something. But now it's all in a playbook. We have these playbooks that we've put together, and they're still a work in progress. They're always going to be a work in progress because something's going to change 7 minutes from now. But yeah, that's the season we're in now. We're just really focused on this systemization, and I really want to get it to the point. I don't necessarily think that I plan on hiring any monkeys, but I would like it to get to the point where I could train a monkey how to do what we do, at least from a system standpoint.
Monkeys are useful. Mm-hmm.
And then I did hire one. That's Mark, because I know he's going to watch this. Sorry, he knows I'm just kidding. As far as where people can find me, I've actually got a really cool, because we haven't talked a ton about it. We've talked a little bit about this idea of being an affiliate and promoting stuff and maximizing that income, but also finding affiliates. And so if you go to mattmcwilliams.com/WBDS, then I've got 2 resources there, whichever side you're on or both sides, you can get both. I've got a free report on where to find affiliates, and I've got a free report on how to maximize your income as an affiliate. And these aren't like 2-page reports either. They're very in-depth, but also easy to follow. So again, mattmcwilliams.com/WBDS, or you can text WBD Summit to 33444.
Wow, the texting thing sounds very fancy.
It is.
Wow. Okay, this has been great. Thank you so much, Matt, and I will talk to you probably in like half an hour about something else.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.